Okay, folks, so Tyler Perry's Sistas Season 9 has continued, even though I think I speak for the majority of us when I say it could have stayed gone just a bit longer. I mean, if you wanted to bring the show back, you could have waited till at least next week. I mean, let Zatima have its final week where the mid-season finale drops, and then we talk about that for a few days and then have Sisters come back the following week. But no, you had to give us this piss poor excuse of an episode showcasing Zach at, I wouldn't say his worst, but some of his worst qualities, bubbled up to the surface in this episode. And I'm going to have to give this episode, I believe it was called Search Party, a 2 out of 10. And even saying 2, I feel like I'm being a bit too generous. Oh yeah, long story short, I tweeted this out. Sorry, I did not do a live stream last night because my Philo and BET app, neither of them were working. And there was that one website where you could stream BET for free, but that website was not up last night, so I guess they took it down or whatever. So I'm like, dang it. So I know a lot of people sent me the promo for next week. Thank you for that, but I have not watched it yet. I'm like, no, I'm going to watch the episode first, then I'll watch the promo. And now I've done both, and I took notes on both, and this episode was completely skippable. Yet again, it feels like these characters are at their worst, and I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to make it until the finale, because I just feel like it's going to be a whole bunch of nonsense. But hey, if it gets views and makes ad revenue and pays my bills, I'm going to do what I got to do. And side note, I am currently working on material for my new channel I will be launching soon, so I will keep you posted. Thank you to everybody who commented on my recent video where I talked about the idea for my new channel. And based off the several people that have commented and are excited, I hope it does well. So this would be a good way to have something non-Tyler Perry affiliated and something I'm passionate about. So faith, if you will. All right. Now, once again, this is the review for Season 9, Episode 12, Search Party. 2 out of 10 score. And I do plan on doing a live stream tonight where we'll talk Sisters and Zatima. So Aaron's on the phone with Danny and Sabrina about the note that Karen left. And, they're trying to figure out what to make of the situation. Sabrina's, assuming the worst. And to be completely honest, based on the wording of that note, that's my first thing. Like, yeah, it seems like a self-deletion note. But of course you have Danny like, no, girl, we ain't gonna do that. And then that's when Sabrina's like, well, maybe they went on a little trip. And while that was a stupid notion, I do like the fact that Sabrina said this after she said what we had all been thinking, that it seems like end of not just a chapter, but an end of a note. I mean, end of life book, if you will. So that's when they tell Aaron they're on the way. Because, Karen's not at the salon and Zach and Andy aren't picking up. So they drop everything and go over to the apartment. Now, by the time they get there, Pam is the only one there because she says Miss Lisa and Aaron are out there looking. So they give her the note. Pam hands over the note so they can read it. And that's when they're both worried. But Pam's like, look, hey, I know this is pretty intense, but come on, we know Karen. Like, I'm sure she wouldn't do anything to hurt herself or the baby. And that's when Sabrina kind of snaps on her, and I didn't really appreciate it. I know everybody's deals with things like this differently, but how can you be so sure, Pam? And this is just one of those moments where I'm like, I just hate how they treat Pam. So that's when they decide, you know what, Andy's not picking up. Let's just go directly to the penthouse and get her. So as soon as they leave, that's when Pam's like, Danny tells Pam to check her social media or whatnot to see if Karen liked anything. And I don't really know how she would because she left her phone, which is ironic because later in the episode, while Danny and Sabrina seemingly don't know about Karen leaving her phone and car keys at the apartment. When Danny goes to confront Andy, she mentions that Karen does not have her phone with her. So why would she tell Pam to keep an eye on her social media to see if she liked anything? But Pam does what I think most of us would do in a situation like this. She orders some wings. Like, look, don't get me wrong. You already got a search party out there looking for Karen. You got girls who came to go get Andy. You done made the calls you could. Nobody's answering, or those who have answered said they haven't seen her. So it's like, hey, worrying ain't going to help nobody. I need something to eat. So she ordered some wings. And then that's when Aaron and Miss Lisa return, and there's no luck. They checked everywhere. And that's when Aaron's like, wait, so you ordered wings, Pam? Well, yeah. And she mentions how Sabrina and Danny came by, but then they went to go get Andy. So it's like they're rallying the troops. And that's when Pam goes to keep an eye on the salon because maybe Karen will pop up back there. And that's when Aaron has his moment with Miss Lisa talking about how he can't believe that, you know, Karen would do something like this. And it's just that she hasn't been herself the past few days, not, being shut off and not even interacting with our baby. And then that's when Miss Lisa snaps on him like, look, cool it, okay? Stop being so hard on her. Stop judging her. I don't want to hear it now. And I made a post about this this morning, and some people on the Facebook group were like, well, Jeremy, no parent wants to hear anybody say anything bad about their child, especially not to their face. But while I completely understand that, I did not like Miss Lisa's attitude in this scene because, and I did a full video on it already, but this is just further confirmation of Miss Lisa not wanting to face the truth. And also, in my opinion, it just showcases that for her entire life, Karen has been shielded from any sort of responsibility for her actions or consequences of her actions by her mom. Like, even if she was, when she was a kid, let's say she got into a fight or caused trouble at school and Miss Lisa came down for like a parent-teacher conference or something. I have no doubt in my mind if the parent of the other child or maybe the teacher themselves were in the room with the principal trying to explain the situation, Miss Lisa wasn't hearing anything. No, my daughter would never do anything like that. And, it was probably the other kid that started the situation. And it's like, I don't want to hear anything about my daughter's attitude problems. Like, she doesn't have any problems like that. I feel like she never wanted to hear anything bad about her daughter, even willing to throw victims under the bus in order to maintain the image in her mind of her picture perfect daughter. I mean, think about it this way. Whenever Miss Lisa came back into the picture, if Karen was upset about something, her first instinct was to lash out at others, as opposed to getting to the root of the situation. Case in point, when Fatima called out Karen for coming over to the house unannounced all the time, and Miss Lisa's like, wait, you're doing that? You're popping up at their house? And Karen was like, no, that's it. Get out. And she just went to a room and slammed the door. That just goes to show you Miss Lisa does not know her daughter. And the way Aaron was describing Karen's shutdown and just unrecognizable behavior for the past few days, that just tells me that Miss Lisa has chosen to ignore these signs. I mean, I still cannot believe she did not force Karen to come along with her to Faith's first pediatrician appointment. That makes no sense to me at all. Because we know Karen can't drive, so Miss Lisa was going to drive. And the least she could have done was go to the appointment as well. But no. So I did not care for the way Miss Lisa handled herself. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, her telling Aaron to calm down and whatnot is understandable in the sense of, look, Aaron, yeah, I get it. You're upset. Your newborn is out there. My baby girl and my grandchild is out there. But worrying is not going to solve anything or playing the blame game. Or what we need to do is just kind of go over our resources and figure out what's, how to approach this. That's different than, I don't want to hear you judging my daughter. All bets are off, Miss Lisa. The accountant is now the father of your grandchild. So if he wants to lash out at his baby mama taking their child unannounced, or, without warning, leaving without her phone and whatnot, he has every right to freak out. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay, so let's go over to the penthouse where Andy is rightfully panicking at Gary's unexpected arrival. And, she's like, how'd you get up here? The doorman let me up. Well, I thought that was because you were my food delivery or whatever. So then he pretty much just pleads for 5 minutes to talk. And then you won't have to worry about hearing or seeing me again. Can I sit down? Nope, we're going to stand up and I'm just going to decide if I'm listening or not. So simply put, and I will say Andy did say everything I was thinking. Dang near everything Gary said was nothing we haven't already heard before. And while on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, you tell him, Andy, I'm also like, well, how many times have we heard Andy go, you know what? No, my life has been in turmoil since I got involved with you. Leave me alone and yada, yada, yada. And I'm done, blah, 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 blah. But then Gary says the right thing and then that pulls on her heartstrings. And then she goes right back to, well, he wasn't so bad, whatever. So here's the thing. What he came for was to apologize and give Andy something that she has long since deserved, which is peace, which is no longer having him in her life. So he apologizes for everything. And look, all the while, Andy's talking crap the entire time, acting like her poop don't stink and that she had absolutely nothing to do with the circumstances that have led them to this point. So he mentions how what we had was beautiful at first. And then similar to when Zach and Karen were reminiscing about their relationship, well, more specifically, when Karen was like, yeah, we had some good times. Yet every flashback pertaining to good times referred to sex. And Gary calling what he and Andy had beautiful. And all the scenes took place during the affair outside of season 3 during the pop-up wedding. So yeah, it's beautiful. What you had, Andy knowingly messing around with a married man. Yeah, beautiful, man, beautiful. So that's when she shuts it down. Like, nope, don't, no, you're not going to have me reminiscing and thinking. It's like, no. You deserve peace, Andy. And I'm going to do my best to right the wrongs I did to both you and your friends. And I'm thinking the whole time, you could start by giving Zach his money back. So from there, he does mention how, look, with everything that happened that night, I just wanted to ask, how are you? Because I know it was tough. You had to sit there and you watched Jasmine get shot and killed. And I had to sit through it again. They're showing us a flashback of my baby getting unceremoniously killed like that. And Andy's like, yeah, I know that must have been pretty hard for you. It's like, yeah, it was. After the divorce, I didn't know she spiraled that low. And it was something else, because regardless of how she was as a person, she was still the mother of my children. And after what went down, I had to go to therapy, which explains where he's been for most of these episodes. And he thinks about his 2 brushes with death, from the stabbing from Jasmine and, Jasmine and Hudson pointing guns at him and he almost died. So that gave him the wake-up call I needed. And she rightfully asked, so how did you get to this, Gary? From, I know you've always had like a mean streak in you, but with the guns and the drugs and the money laundering, where'd that come from? And he talks about, it's like, well, being the nice guy didn't get me what I wanted, so I felt I had to go to this other route. It goes back to what Zach told Andy in episode 1. Is like, yeah, Gary was trying to act all big and tough and hard, like he hit thug, but he got a taste of the other side, and well, I know he ain't gonna go back to that again. So honestly, I think he is literally trying to change for the better, and maybe actually leaving, because he talks about how I came to not only give my apologies, but also to say my farewell, because in a couple of days I'm going to take my kids and we're leaving. Like, I just need a change of scenery. There's just way too much bad memories from this town. I just need a fresh start. And, I'm just going to try to be a better man day by day. So that's it. And you could just tell by the look on Andy's face. I'm like, here we go. Side note, I did not appreciate Andy when she was like, Well, that night where everything went down, it wouldn't have happened if you would have left me the hell alone. Actually, there was a 1 month time skip where you and Gary did not interact whatsoever, and Gary was released from the hospital. Hudson revealed his true colors, and then Jasmine abducted you. So, Andy, even if you and Gary did not interact as far back as like season 3, you were still going to get abducted because once Jasmine got out of jail, she was gunning for you. And the reason being is because you knowingly got involved with a married man. Stop acting like everything wrong that happened in your life as a byproduct of your affiliation with Gary was completely on Gary. You were an active participant, a willing participant. Sheesh. All right, so in the midst of this, Danny shows up, and in classic Danny style, she, wants to know what's going on, and she grabs a vase about to slam it on Gary's head. It's like, no, I was just leaving. Okay, farewell. And he gets on the elevator and leaves. And that's when Danny decides to show her whole behind because, don't get me wrong, petty, intrusive, and judgmental Danny works, but sometimes it's like she acts the worst at the worst possible. She acts like herself at the worst possible times. Like, don't get me wrong, major season 1 vibes of her being pissed off about Andy or Karen keeping secrets or lying to her, whatever the case may be. So it's like she came in here with the wrong energy. Now, hey, I get it. Given Andy's track record, you come over to her place unannounced and you see Gary, you could completely and understandably assume the worst. She could. But given the crisis at hand right now, Danny, this is not the time for you to go back and forth about you feeling some kind of way about Andy lying or what are you doing here, Gary? Karen and if you don't care about Karen, the newborn is missing. We do not have time for your antics right now. So after they're back and forth, and Andy, I don't lie. Y'all see why I gave this episode a 2, right? This woman literally said, I don't lie. So, yeah, Danny gets on her case about claiming she had a late night meeting with Dr. Bond, which, to be completely fair, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, Andy wasn't totally lying. But at the same time, why she did not tell Danny and Karen, actually, I'm going to meet with Dr. Bond because Karen, I'm trying to work a case on Dr. Cruz because of what happened to you and Forever at the hospital. That's all she had to say. Why she had to keep things secretive, it's beyond me. But this just was not the time. And then Andy was like, oh, and you're going to judge me? And I get that, Andy. You're not wrong because glass houses and everything. But in reality, the circumstances of you lying versus Danny's hot girl summer are not the same. Jeez. But yeah, bad timing for all this bickering is what I'm trying to get at. That's honestly the best way to kind of sum up this scene. She's like, yeah, Gary wanted closure. Oh, we heard that before. And Karen's gone. Wait, I didn't know. Why didn't anyone tell me? You didn't answer your phone. You were too busy up here listening to Mandingo's closure. So, I get it though. Andy's like, look, you all don't have to be in all of my business. And that is fair. But that doesn't mean you lie because you are bad at it. So, yeah, that's when they're like, okay, we go to Karen's and Danny's like, yeah, but you drive yourself. And then they started shoving each other over the elevator. It was petty. It was funny. But Danny, this is not your home. So I don't think you have a right to shove anybody, especially, yeah, because I would have been like, nah, bump that. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, side note, Maurice is cleaning and cooking over at his place for Dylan to come over for their vision board date thing. Yeah, it was okay. No complaints. It didn't take up too much screen time. So there you go. They start making out. That's pretty much it. They have a little backstory about, oh, does your family know you're LGBT or whatever? I have nothing. No, I have no complaints, but I really have nothing to say, if that makes sense, okay? I just wanted to add that in there so you don't think I forgot about it. I did not. All right. I guess the next thing we could talk about is Zach confronting Chaz. And, he gets in, he goes in on Chaz for showing up to his house, his driveway unannounced. And it turns out he came to get the purse because it caused a whole bunch of issues. While Fatima rightfully calls out the boundaries Chaz is crossing. Then he has, the mini-me sized bodyguard with this gun. But Zach doesn't care. And when Zach is told to go inside, he's like, nah. So he goes to like stand by the front door. And, Chaz mentions like, my bad crossing boundaries and whatnot, but I like you. And then Fatima's like, yeah, well, you need to unlike me real quick. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Fatima, had you let Tamara give Chaz her number, then... And I'm not blaming Fatima. Because like she tells Zach, hey, he never disrespected me. Anything major. He flirted, but I kept it professional, which she did. But I do feel in some ways Fatima's underplaying this, but whatever. So eventually he leaves, and that's when Zach clowns and was like, man, how are you going to have security that's shorter than you? Okay, that was kind of funny. So then Chaz leaves, but something tells me he is not done. That's when, from there, Zach and Fatima have a bit of a bickering match outside of the house, which I kind of toned out. I don't care, because I'm like, I want to see Zach and Fatima and Zatima, not whatever this drunk mess of a thing is right now. Where it's like, while I side with Fatima, she was kind of underplaying the situation. But then Zach doesn't help, because him being so insecure that he would even think at this point Fatima would entertain the attention of another man. It's like, bro, do you not know her? Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. So they go back inside. And then he ends up sleeping on the couch. But from there, he gets a phone call, and I believe it's Miss Lisa finally getting through to him. And he jumps off the couch to go over to help with the Karen search, even though he doesn't tell Fatima. So when he gets there, that's when Miss Lisa, well, right before he comes over, Miss Lisa's like, you know what, we'll see once Sabrina and Danny go to Andy's. If she's not over there, then we'll call the cops. So then Zach comes up, and it's funny because Aaron mentioned, like, bro, you smell like the bar. And then that's when he and Aaron have a bit of a heart-to-heart, which I really love this scene because it was a nice callback to earlier in the season when Aaron came to visit Zach in a moment of crisis to see how he was doing after, they lost forever. And now you have Zach, even though personally, I think I agree with a lot of fans who say they wish Zach and Fatima will be kept away from this issue. I love how Zach, despite everything going on over at his world, he came, to be there for Aaron, just like Aaron was there for him. So I do appreciate that. Now, that's when, they kind of brainstorm. And I love, like, yet again, another callback. When they were at the hospital and the C-section was about to go down and Aaron was losing faith. And Zach, of all people, had to pull him out of that, hole of doubt and led a prayer. I feel like the same thing applied here where, Aaron was freaking out about Karen and their baby. But Zach is like, no, don't think that because, hey, I've known Karen a long time. It's like, she's too strong for that. But then Aaron rightfully says, like, Zach, man, she has not been the same Karen the past few days. Like, I've seen it. And that's when he asks an interesting question about, the note, final chapter. Do you think it has something to do with you? No, I have no idea. And that's a fair question because it is one of those things where I think in the back of his mind, he's been thinking like, if my baby didn't make it and Zach's baby did, would she be acting this way? Even though I overheard the conversation you and Karen had over the baby monitor a few episodes ago, it seemed like you all had a clean break, but it's like she's still broken on the inside. So what's the real story here? But that's when we go over to Andy making her way over to Karen's place, and Danny and Sabrina are standing outside. And yet again, there's a bunch of petty crap. I don't care. Sabrina's like, hey, where'd you park? Oh, I just parked a block over. And Danny's like, oh yeah, so you can make a quick escape without us knowing. Shut up, Danny. This is not the time. So then a phone call comes and it is Dr. Vaughn. And Sabrina's like, oh, put it on speaker. Shut up, Sabrina. So that's when she puts it on speaker. And it's like, oh, how was your self-care night? Oh, it got disrupted. Yeah, by a crazy Negro. Wait, what? No, emergency. Karen's missing. And was there anything that she might have said to you recently? Due to HIPAA, he couldn't say anything. But, you know, the way he was kind of putting two and two together in his head as Andy was describing the situation, I think Dr. Vaughn might have suspected maybe she went to that place I recommended. So then he's like, you know what, I'll see what I can find and then I'll call you back. So then after that, Danny and the girls head inside. And the episode ends with Fatima getting a call from Karen, and that's it. So yeah, this episode, I did not like it. Completely skippable. That's all I got to say. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.